Hello and welcome to another episode of Super Lady Hero Hour here on Fanversation. I'm your co-host Yael Teagle. I'm joined as always by the incredible Lady Kay-B. Hello, Kay-B.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. We had a bit of a life-altering, life-altering situation last week with the winter storm. And so, had to cancel at the last minute, but back to talk about everything from last week plus this week and excited to dive in. So gonna hop right to it and start with news before we start talking about Batwoman, Black Lightning, WandaVision, and obviously the premiere of Superman and Lois. So Zack Snyder's Justice League trailer dropped on Valentine's Day, so 10 days ago. Honestly, I'm super excited to see where this goes. He did reveal his version of the Joker. I really could probably care the least about the Joker in this particular trailer. But I am interested to see this new revamped Zack Snyder version of Justice League. Like, it did kind of get me hyped because it looks dramatically different from the first one. And so I'm curious to see where it goes. So yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen it, which is wild, you can check it out on Fanversation right now. But I'm sure you probably watched it once, twice, maybe even 3 times. But I am still not mad that this is going to be streamed at home because I feel like it is going to be long and I want to pause it. We'll see what Jared does as Joker in this kind of film and iteration that we haven't seen from him before.
Yeah, it's available. Check it out if you haven't, but I'm sure you have. Over on HBO Max, or still on HBO Max, Peacemaker continues to add names to their cast. We have Allison, Arya, and Lenny Jacobson joining. I have photos for you all right here.
Yes.
So more Peacemaker's cast is just exploding. They just keep adding, I feel like every week they're like 2 more people. So we're excited to see this one and see where it goes and how it ties into the Suicide Squad film. But this is what we got there. Any thoughts on this one?
Just that I'm super excited. They actually have started filming, so that's cool. And we'll see when it comes out. Originally I think people were thinking that it would come out much later, but honestly, I don't know what the production schedule and posts looks like nowadays. So who knows? We could potentially get it by December of this year. I don't feel like that's unreasonable, depending on how many episodes and how long they take to shoot. So, I'm excited to see Peacemaker. Again, I'm still trying to figure out how it's going to tie into this universe. Now that HBO Max is going to, kind of tie into this cinematic universe as well. I'm curious to see. So,
yeah. So they are playing a married couple named Amber and Evan, and they're joining previously announced series regulars Danielle Brooks, Chris Conrad, Jennifer Holland, Steve Agee, Robert Patrick, and a few others. I think Rizwan Manji. So more people coming in. That's what's going on over at Peacemaker. We have some Marvel news from the TCAs, right?
Yeah, so the TCAs happened today. Disney, as we all know, of course, has actually 3 days of the TCA event. And today was the kickoff, and it kicked off with Kevin Feige. First things first, the TCAs are the Television Critics, Association news that pops up. But even though it was on the TV side, we did get the official name for the 3rd Spider-Man film as well. It just so happens. And so we can look forward to, Spider-Man No Way Home. So yay, look at that. After trolling us on the internet yesterday, Tom Holland and Zendaya, here we are with the official title. Now, when it comes to TV, finally, we have a date for Loki, and it is June the 11th. So June the 11th, Loki, the series, is going to come to Disney Plus. Super excited about Loki. That's actually the one that I'm most excited about for sure. Some other things that came out of TCA. So the press that were able to attend got to see a couple of clips from the brand new The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, honestly, the clips got pretty good reviews. You know, apparently it was 16 minutes long, and people are kind of digging the vibe between Anthony and Sebastian. You know, we're going to get to Kevin Feige confirmed that we are just going to get more of these characters' backstories because he was really interested in the two of their like journeys together, particularly since they share a best friend in the form of Captain America, aka Steve Rogers. And so, you know, I'm curious to see where it goes and how it ties into everything for sure. I definitely am more intrigued. Also, Kevin confirmed that Miss Marvel is basically almost done, which is wild to me because I'm like, what is happening with time? So Miss Marvel is basically done. Hawkeye is almost finished as well. I don't know where they're going to land in this new phase 4 timeline, but he did also kind of tease that the next thing to come after Loki is potentially going to be What If, which I also didn't even know they had already. I'm like, what is happening? Truly, what is happening with phase 4?
It's so much, and I'm so excited for all of it. I'm with you on the Loki stuff. I'm with you on Spider-Man No Way Home. Miss Marvel, like I'm here for it, and I'm excited to see it all. I can't believe all of that came out literally today. So,
yes,
you know,
and it's wild too because we still haven't. I don't think that we still, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if we've still gotten confirmation that Oscar Isaac is going to be the lead in Moon Knight. I feel like we have, like, I feel like it's a done deal, but I don't know if the trades have picked it up. What is that? Either way it goes, Kevin Feige said Moon Knight is about to start shooting, so it doesn't even matter because it's definitely happening soon.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay.
That's one of those things where like it's happening and everyone's aware of it, but I don't believe that it was ever like officially confirmed to the public.
Well, it's happening.
It's happening.
I mean, yes. And with any luck, he did also not shut the door on potentially having those kind of Netflix OG Marvel TV shows fold into the MCU. So that's super dope because we know the deal was just done and they are being welcomed home. So we could potentially see Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, you know, and Daredevil back and crossing over. And I really hope we get to see that for sure. Also, he didn't technically close the door on Aaron Taylor Johnson coming back either. He did not close that door, which I am grateful for because I would like to see that version of Pietro back as well. So yeah, a lot of news came out of TCAs for sure.
Yeah. The Jessica Jones stuff is what I'm so like, just the idea that it could happen is so exciting. Let's talk about some CW news. We have a lot of CW news to share. The Black Lightning Painkiller spinoff seems to have added some cast members. Here we go. We've got, I'm not going to butcher these names. We have some cast members joining. And that's
potentially joining. We should say potentially. So if the series is picked up, that was also kind of clearly stated in this announcement. Right now, they will not be in the pilot, but if it goes to series, then these 3 individuals will be joining. I love Alexander Hodge from Insecure. And so, you know, it's really good to kind of see him in the fold and doing something new potentially. So I really hope it does get picked up. But again, we don't know what's going to happen with that. I mean, I feel like they're putting a lot of steam behind it. So hopefully, but yes. So Painkiller will be well-rounded, you know, if it does get picked up to series. So they better do this pilot justice.
So as a reminder, it's a backdoor pilot coming out on the 7th episode of Black Lightning. So that's when we'll see it. And hopefully from there, we'll love it, hopefully.
Yes. So another DC comic superhero movie is coming out. We are going to get Blue Beetle. They have announced their director, who is, you know, a fabulous director. He actually directed Charm City Kings, which is also a really great film that you can stream right now on HBO Max. I actually had a chat with him. He's so awesome, so kind. And so I'm looking forward to seeing kind of what is done with Blue Beetle. Everyone has been welcoming him online. Like I've been seeing all his posts because he's like super grateful for it. I love that we are getting a Latinx director, you know, for this big budget film. And so, yeah, I can't wait to see it, you know?
Absolutely.
Angel is so nice. So, yes.
Yeah. And in terms of The Flash, which is coming back next week, there has been a new trailer. And I guess the important thing, I'll play a little bit of it without audio for us, is that
it finally back? And we're live tweeting.
Yes, we will be live tweeting it as we have been with the premieres this season. So very exciting to see this. Finally, I know it got pushed back because of last night's premiere for Superman and Lois, and we'll talk about that in just a bit. This is very exciting, so don't miss our live tweets, both East and West Coast feeds.
Yes. Super excited. And then finally, Legends of Tomorrow is going to premiere May 2nd. May 2nd feels like a lifetime away, but realistically, it's really like 10 weeks. So we've been waiting this long. Why not? Let's get into the world of Legends and their kooky antics, welcoming them back into the fold. And then, the CW also has a lot of stacked news, but unfortunately, Wonder Girl is not moving forward. My thoughts on that, obviously they have this new partnership with HBO Max, so potentially, maybe it'll head over there instead. Yeah. Who knows? But also, we failed to mention Stargirl is coming back this summer. They didn't drop a date, but they did drop a little teaser promo during the Superman and Lois premiere. So it is coming back this summer. And honestly, it will not be alone like last summer, because clearly all of these shows will still be on this summer too.
Yes. I can't wait. That was a surprise last summer. It was so good.
Yes. And I honestly have no idea what's going to happen this summer, because every show will be on TV still. And I don't know that we're going to have any true new fall shows for 2021. I think we'll be in winter of 2020 again. So.
All right, well, let's let's move it along. Before we begin with our discussions of the shows, as a reminder, this is your spoiler alert. Everything past this will be spoiler filled. So if you haven't seen any of the shows, then what are you doing here? Now you've been prepared. Let's talk about this premiere, the pilot of Superman and Lois. The quick cap is Superman and Lois return to the idyllic Smallville and is set to be upended by mysterious strangers. That's all right.
That's what it felt like. How did you feel overall about the Superman and Lois premiere, the supersized premiere, I should say?
Yeah, so I didn't hate it. It was pretty good. It feels like a CW series. It feels like they want to do a teen angsty show, and it's going to be about the boys. But the boys, we don't know who they are yet. So they had to introduce us to Superman and Lois. But it feels like the show is actually going to be about the boys more so. Which at that point made me go, then why is their dad Superman? Like, their dad could have just been any old superhero. It just, I liked it. I just have a lot of questions.
So I actually don't agree. I don't get that feel at all. I think it will be a pretty well-rounded family drama. So okay. I think they will be focusing on the boys, but I also think they will be focusing on Lois independently in her work and the things that she's doing. I think they're also going to focus on Lois and Clark's marriage, which will not always be sunshine and roses. And I also think that they'll focus on kind of the issues that Clark has as well. Because as we saw kind of in this premiere episode, he's having a very hard time juggling family and superhero life. And he is starting to feel guilty because his sons are older. And so, there's a lot more conversations that he needs to be having and time that he needs to be spending that he's just not doing. And so, I thought that this premiere actually was pretty good. I think that my biggest complaint overall is that there's not a whole lot of diversity in it at all. And from what we see thus far, this is just the pilot. I have no idea where it's going. I hope with everything that's happened kind of with their writer's room, because I know that they did have a diverse writer's room. I hope that they, have kind of brought that over to talent as well on the show. It's possible, who knows? But it definitely gives me Arrow season 1 vibes in some ways, in terms of how the casting is and how it's set up and it being pretty heavy on the family drama. The only thing that I like better than the Arrow season 1 is the fact that we did not get an entire season of Clark's tragic origin story.
Yeah.
I mean, that like 2-minute montage was perfect. I was like, oh, yay. And we can move beyond this. So I appreciate that. Like, it was like, here's background for people who may not be familiar with the comics or may not be familiar with Superman, because maybe some people just have not, which is fine, because some people could be coming into this blind as their first experiment. But I liked that it was enough to be like, this is what it is. And then like, let's move forward into the direction that we're going for the rest of the season.
I agree that I really liked how quickly we wrapped through that like origin story. We just explained it real quick. I did get thrown off by your statement that someone may not know the story.
They may not know. I mean, like, there are people who have not watched Superman before. You can't always assume. And especially because if children are watching this for the first time, they may not have any context of it. They're just like, oh, you know, like maybe my dad's a huge fan of Superman. And so this is going to be my first, you know, introduction. So I always think about that with shows, because even though we are established and we love these characters, there are still some people out there who may not have that same level of background or understanding, and they're going into it blind. So like, I appreciate when shows still give you enough context for like new people coming in,
sure.
You know, but also for the OGs like us, we did not have to sit through, you know, 3 to 4 episode of Clark's tragic story.
Also, I think that, you know, a show that's going to be focused on him already being Superman, already being a father of teenagers, like having, yeah, I think that's the big difference. And also it's past him trying to meet Lois and win her heart. Like, he already has her and they have kids, and the kids are teens. I think it's really interesting, the idea of one of the boys having a mental illness. I think that's such a fascinating subject and way to tell this story. And I worry so much about how they will tell this story.
Yeah, it's a fine line. I definitely felt like during the pilot, I kept finding myself intrigued by the storyline for sure, because we just need to have more, you know, honest depictions of mental health, especially in teenagers and adults, and with parents, you know, also just trying to figure things out. I still feel like that's an important conversation, but I also found myself kind of on pins and needles, just like, is this gonna go well? Like, you know what I mean? So, I mean, we're still not out of the clear, because obviously, you know, like, this is a lifelong battle for, you know, Jordan. This is a lifelong thing that's going to be happening with Jordan. And so I'm just hoping that they continue to do it justice throughout.
I agree. I will also say I do not know which boy is which of the twins. I think
so. Jordan is the one with the dark curly hair. Jonathan is the one with kind of the blonder, shorter football player. Jonathan's the football player, and then Jordan's the one with the mental health.
So then Jordan has powers, is what we reveal. Okay. Yep. I think we're going to discover that both of them have powers, not to like, you know, guess. I think that's going to come out that they both have powers of sorts, but we'll see. And I'm interested to see where it goes. I enjoyed this. It was beautifully done. It clearly,
oh my gosh, it was shot so well.
Clearly had a big budget. And I guess my big concern is I saw a lot of people tweeting about the idea that these kids at no point looked at their father and realized that he was Superman. And it makes me wonder if they've ever seen him without his glasses on. But like, also, I think we've talked about this before. I believe that like the whole idea of Clark versus Superman is that Clark is supposed to be like a nerd and
your average, your average guy.
But also, like, I would say he's supposed to be less than average. He's supposed to be like timid and weak, so that when he is Superman, you go like, that guy can't be him because he doesn't have the balls. Like, you know what I mean? And so the idea that he's the same person both ways defeats the whole purpose, and makes the glasses unbelievable. It's just a no.
I mean, I'm laughing because it's just unbelievable in general.
Right.
Like in general, that glasses would do that. But I will always feel that way about these.
Yes.
I'm like,
But at
Okay,
least
but
there's
also,
like supposed to be the
but there's
personality.
right. There's supposed to be, you know, different personality traits, but I feel like we saw those sides of Clark still in the show in a lot of ways. I think in some ways we didn't because he was with Lois, if that makes sense. So like in the scenes with Lois, like when they're at the Daily Planet, he does not have to be meek because it's just him and her having a conversation. Do you know what I mean? But like with everyone else, you kind of get a sense that he's like kind of hiding behind who he really is. But with her, you know, because most of the scenes that we saw at the Daily Planet were literally just the two of them together, he was just being himself. So I think we'll see more of it in the outside world potentially.
I hope so.
I mean, and maybe we won't because I mean, we don't have to now that there's no secret, you know, like maybe we're going to see more of just Superman now because he doesn't have to lie to his kids anymore versus we're going to be seeing Clark kind of assimilate, if that makes sense. But
let's talk about the big ending of the episode, the big reveal as to who our bad guy is for the season, for the foreseeable
I don't know.
future.
I mean, that was what I was going to say. It's not entirely clear how this will play out, but I will say throwing a Luthor in the pilot was not something I expected. So I expected to build up to Luthor. Like even when they announced the casting, I just didn't think that it was going to start so early. In the pilot, I thought that we would wait a little bit and maybe there would be other threats like we kind of saw in the very beginning of the pilot when, you know, he was working for General Lane. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. You know, for me, again, the biggest issue right now is just kind of the lack of diversity on the show. And so, you know, it is a choice to have, you know, a prominent character and villain in this story be Black. So, and be a Black man at that. And so it's like, well, there is another Black, the boyfriend is Black, right? But even the boyfriend is a bully. So it's like basically those two characters, which, you know, I'm not going to put it past the CW to make them related either. And to be father and son, I'm not going to put it past them. So I just kind of feel like, what are we doing with these two Black men as characters on the show? Like, where's this going? I don't like it already. I will say that. So, you know.
I totally agree. And I think your point of them being related, I was like, he's Uncle Luthor, you know it. I like that's, you know, that's where we're going. But I totally agree. And I hope that changes immediately.
We just need more. I mean, of course, right now we have like very few characters. So, I mean, and we know that the characters are going to keep expanding, but what we need are more characters of color. We need more representation for sure. And clearly, you know, we need them to be positive. Some of those seen in a positive light, because right now, you know, it's not looking good. So.
Yeah. All right, let's rate this episode on a scale of poop to kittens, which is how we rate things here, or a spoon in between. Where would you put it?
I'm still going to give it a kitten because I actually enjoyed it. The cinematography was really beautiful, though. Like, I mean, I was like, dang, they put some money behind this pilot because it was stunning. But it's still a CW show. Like, so I was kind of confused about people's comments online because they were like, this is a CW show. And I was like, you're watching it on the network. So yes. It is. They were kind of saying it like, you know, as a dig, like, I can't believe it's a CW show. And I was like, what did we expect? So, yeah, it's still a CW show at its core. It's still going to be, I feel like, campy in some ways. But, you know, shout out to them actually giving Lois agency head on. You know, it took us a ton of seasons before we got there with Iris. So maybe we can say this is a lesson learned. Hopefully. But I appreciate that she already has her own agency and is already kind of hitting the ground running. So yeah, I'll give it a kitten. What about you? How are you going to rate it? A spoon? A kitten?
I'm also going with a kitten. I did enjoy it. I was not expecting to. I think Lois being the journalist of journalists, like she cannot turn off her reporter brain, and I really enjoyed that. But you're right, when you think about, remember when Iris was a reporter and then at some point had no job? Like, I'm very concerned that Lois will drop that. That said, I know that Bitsy Tillich is like the biggest Lois fan, and has been fighting for her very prominently, and I hope that she continues to fight and push back, and keeps her
like,
there.
I mean, listen, I feel like after all they went through with Iris on The Flash, that they have to have learned a lesson, and now, are just moving forward. I mean, that is truly my hope, honestly.
Yeah. Any predictions for the season?
Apart from them being related, because clearly I feel like that's where we're going, even though I do not want that. I definitely, if both twins end up having powers, which there's something to be said about the comics, but I won't. But if both twins end up having powers, I do think it will be a very long time. And so I do think Jordan having the powers will cause some sort of tension, because Jonathan is used to kind of being in the spotlight, being the star, kind of having all of the attention and, all of the girls and all of the this and the that. And so I am predicting that there'll be some tension there. As we saw, we got a little dose of it. Obviously, General Lane is going to interfere in Clark and Lois's marriage in a lot of ways, because he is heavy in the I'm doing what I need to do to protect the world, and who cares about your feelings, even if you are my daughter. And so which is wild and really interesting. So I predict more family therapy around that for sure. What about you? What are you predicting for this season?
I'm predicting both boys get powers. I'm predicting that relation. I'm predicting that at some point I'm going to get frustrated with the angst and drama of it all. And I hope that it doesn't do that, but I'm predicting it will.
I mean, we know that it's gonna do a little bit of something for sure. All right. So next up, let's talk WandaVision. Woo! So here's the quick cap for the 6th episode, an all-new Halloween spooktacular, which high-key I loved a lot. Disturbances on Halloween separate Wanda from Vision, who looks into anomalous activity in Westview. And real quick, for the 7th episode, titled Breaking the Fourth Wall, Monica plots her return, Wanda navigates unsettling complications, and Vision forms a new alliance. So what did you think about these 2 episodes, Yael?
Oh my goodness. First of all, I loved both episodes so much. I'm so not the button I meant to press. I loved it. I had so much fun. I loved Halloween. I think that was really adorable. And the costumes were such fun shout outs, and the way they did it was really great. And I enjoyed that episode. The hex expanding was terrifying to me. So that was all of that. And then the next episode, it got us so much of what we wanted. It literally was like, hey, remember this thing you've been asking for? Here it is. And so it did that 3 times in the episode, which is amazing. These were great. These were fantastic.
Yeah. So the Halloween episode, which I have said numerous times I was waiting on, because 1, the costumes alone, throwback to the comics, I absolutely loved. And, just being able to see the twins develop into their powers on Halloween night was really interesting, and so good to see. Uncle Peter is a wild card, as we saw, and it was good to know that, Wanda had an inkling. Wanda kept asking him questions, and you knew why, because she had an inkling that she did not bring him there, that he wasn't real, that she didn't create. She kept thinking, you could tell, answer this question so I can kind of figure out who you are and what you're doing. So it was good to kind of at the end, when he's like, your husband can't die twice. She's like, wait a minute, you've crossed the line. And I also think that she was thinking, this is how I know I didn't bring you here, because you would have never said that to me. I love that.
It's so interesting you point that out, because I think one of the most suspicious parts was his behavior to her as well, because I was like, dude, have you never seen a movie? You literally sound like a spot. You're like, yes. How did you do this? What did that
how did you get to Westview? What are we doing here? And I was like, Yeah. And so, she picked up on that immediately, which was
Right.
great. But it was just very heartbreaking, to watch her with her son, who is, obviously developing her powers, and, both of them hearing vision, but not necessarily be able to save him. And so he's like, something's wrong. I don't feel like, and it's so sad to see, because you're like, oh, he's like, something's wrong with dad, but I don't know what to do. And I was like, oh, so yeah, I think, 6 was a good episode, but 7 was great. And so we finally turned Monica into the superhero that she was always meant to be. So I love this backstory that they're doing with Monica. I think Tiana Parrish is killing it. And so I don't know. I can't say enough. I thought it was fabulous. Also, clearly it has been Agatha all along, which is now kind of, I guess, the new jam of maybe the week, the winter, the summer. I don't know. But it's good to know that I've been saying from the beginning that Agnes was Agatha, and everyone kept being like, it's a red herring. And I was like, I don't think so. Like, I think that they're going to give us this one thing, because there are plenty of other red herrings to come and plenty of other reveals to come. And they did. They just gave us this one thing. So I was like,
So let me ask you this, because we do have that confirmation that Agnes is Agatha. And we also shut down the red herring of Reed Richards. Everybody was so sure. And then we met some lady. But I will ask this. There are a lot of theories on the internet about Agatha all along, whether she is good or evil, whether she is controlling things and her being all along to help our family, or was she there all along to keep messing with the family? Those are the questions.
I mean, I will say I don't know where they're going and if they're going to use, the comics as a source, but in the comics, they do have a friendship. So, and they do ultimately end up having a friendship. So honestly, it could go multiple ways. It could go that they do not start off as friends, as we kind of saw at the ending, because it seemed like Agatha trapped Wanda. But it could blossom into something once they realize that they're stronger together. It could be a multitude of things that occur. So, we'll see kind of, I guess, what happens. But I am wholly thrilled that we are finally utilizing Catherine Hahn, even her singing. We're finally utilizing her to her capacity. And so that for sure makes this episode alone worth it. So let's talk a little bit, about how I guess we would rate this, because I think the episodes were stellar, but I feel like I know where you're going to go, but maybe I don't. So how would you rate these 2 episodes of WandaVision?
Obviously a kitten. Obviously. I was like, what are you, maybe? No, it's a kitten. This was a kitten from top to bottom, both episodes, kittens. Raining kittens. Yeah, the Halloween with the costumes was just so fun and playful. The Hex expanding was, I did not expect it. And then I spent all week dying to know what Darcy turned into. Oddly had a feeling about the outfit. Like I thought she was going to be a ringleader. And so I expected like the same top that she was wearing, but like with shorts.
And a hat.
Maybe. And a hat, yeah. And then maybe like a whip, because she was like the lion tamer. Like I had that whole look in my head. And then she was wearing almost the exact same thing, except she had pants instead of shorts, which is fine. But she wasn't the ringleader. Anyway, so that was my whole week. And then, instead of her actually being something, I thought she'd turn into something inside, but she didn't. So like, fine, because we got Monica Powers and we got the Agatha All Along song. So like kittens. Kittens. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure, kittens. For me, all in on the costumes, all in on the story dialogue. The Hex, didn't expect that either. Wild to see that circus come to life, because wow, were they underprepared at that circus. And also Vision and Dr. Darcy as a duo, love. I also liked, the nods to Modern Family. I also like the nods to Happy Endings, which is the greatest comedy of all time. Please do not at me. It is extraordinary, and I will watch it every day because I enjoy it. And so I loved just seeing those hints. And also, where are the twins? So I'm looking forward to solving that mystery, and I like that we got that, and I love that Agatha really set her up, though. She was like, oh, they're probably in the basement. And, here we go. Because she knew she was going to go to that basement, which, girl, Wanda, now, the first rule in any of these stories is, don't you ever go to the basement when they tell you to go to the basement, ever. So what are you doing? And she fell right into that trap, honey. But the best part of this episode and why it deserves multiple kittens was the after credit scene. So we finally got an after credit scene. I was wondering if we were ever going to do this because you know how Marvel is. And finally we did. And Pietro, Monica, Agatha controlling, what's happening there? So yes, need more for sure.
Totally agree, which takes us to predictions. Any predictions on this? Because I think that Peter is a puppet. I think that he is being completely controlled and has no idea who he is or what's going on.
So yes, I don't necessarily, I think the red herring is they want us to believe that Agatha is controlling him. And I don't necessarily think that's who's controlling him, but I do think that he is being controlled. Now, this sounds like a really sad prediction, but I hope Hayward dies. Because I'm so sick of him, truly. I know he probably won't die, but I'm tired of him. So that is the prediction that I want to go with. But yeah, I agree. I think that, Pietro is definitely being controlled, but I don't think it's, from that. And I also think another prediction, Dottie's going to make a return in episode 8 because Dottie's been gone for a long time.
Yeah.
And we placed her there for a reason. And our girl didn't do press for nothing. I'm just going to say that. She did not do press for this show just to be in that one episode in that 30-second scene. So who is she really?
Interesting.
We will find out.
I love it. All right, we're moving it on to Black Lightning. We have 2 episodes for Black Lightning. The Book of Reconstruction, Chapter 2, the war between the 100 and the Cobra Cartel rages on. Lynn continues to be concerned about Jefferson. Jennifer's curiosity is piqued by a new boy at school. And the next episode, the Book of Reconstruction, Chapter 3, Jefferson is feeling even more lost after a frustrating therapy session. Anissa continues to care for a comatose Grace, and Lynn has a breakthrough. Okay. Very little, I feel like, moved in these episodes in terms of overall story. But I enjoyed them-ish. I think that there were some really great parts. I think Grace waking up and the secret wedding was cute. I think the fact that Lala is still there is very obnoxious to me.
I'm confused about Lala's powers, though. The way, that he killed that man but never touched him, but then absorbed his energy. I'm confused about how all of that works. So maybe I need to revisit Lala's capabilities with that absorption.
Whoever he kills, he absorbs them. I think that's it.
Right, but I think it's weird how he doesn't touch them though. That's what I'm saying. He was not touching him and then he absorbed it. And I'm like, how did you absorb his energy? Because you literally did not touch him.
The soul flies into him.
Oh, I guess because I didn't see it. I was like, what is this?
No, that's me deciding that's how it works.
Oh, okay. I was like, well, Yael clearly knows because I'm still confused about how.
The soul just it moves. All right. Jennifer's storyline. This girl, I'm sorry. This girl
reckless.
She's been reckless from day one. From day one, this girl.
I appreciate because we know that this is just her personality. She does what she wants. She's curious. She's reckless. She's a teenager. She makes mistakes. I'm glad that they didn't just immediately be like, and she got powers and now she's responsible. No, why would she be? She is reckless all the time. And to be quite honest, her parents, they try to help her through things, and Anissa tries to help her through things, but she still doesn't, like, she's very stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
And now it just feels like Lynn is just allowing this behavior. Like, now it's just like, I'm going to let you be who you are, but I'm just going to follow you in the dead of night and like try to like be your Overwatch essentially, but on the ground. So I'm going to keep using these powers to be your Overwatch to protect you, versus like sitting her down and being like, girl, I'm going to strip you of your powers because I know how to do that. She has to know how to do it. So I'm going to strip you of your powers if you don't chill out. Like,
Lynn is too busy being an addict, which I thought we were moving on from that storyline. But as Jefferson said, you've traded one addiction for another.
Which also I feel like is realistic,
yes.
and I get that.
It's totally realistic. I am bored with it because we have not progressed her story, it feels. And the idea that she goes to that date with Tobias and then Jefferson shows up and is like mad about it. I would have been like, oh my God, he trapped her. Oh, he tricked her. Oh,
so it was weird because, it was weird because I kept thinking, now I know you didn't read this note and think that, like, there's no way that the note that she read and the note that he read could have led him to believe that she asked him on a date. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm like, what? Like,
it's like he read her invitation, which was a trap. And then he was like, oh, I got to meet her there. And then showed up and was like, oh, no, it wasn't a trap. It was from someone else. No, it was a trap. It was clearly a trap.
Because it was really like, do you think that she's really having an affair with him? So one of two things would have occurred in my mind. Either one, she needs help, or two, she's playing to buy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's come up with another plan. She's injected some power. She's playing Tobias. But I would not have thought like she's having an affair. Right. That really would not have been the first thought.
No, I don't think that would have ever crossed my mind. It's clearly a trap. I thought he was going to show up and be like, I'm here to save you. And then she'd be like, I've got it handled. And that's where I thought we were going. But no, we went somewhere else completely.
I mean, he just left, which I was like, this is interesting because also, I mean, well, one, I knew that he wasn't going to use his powers in front of civilians, which the restaurant was clearly still, their entire staff was still there. So, okay, I get that. But I'm also like, I don't know, these recurring dreams that he's having about Tobias being in his house, being in his space, taking over his family, obviously are tying into, like, these subconscious thoughts are tying into reality. But I also am like, if you would just kill him, like Anissa keeps saying, like, I mean, she says it so much that I'm just like, okay, so not only is Jennifer like not listening to anyone, but Jefferson, you clearly are not listening to anyone either. So really, you guys are two sides of the same coin because you guys are just not listening. So yeah, I agree. Like, I enjoy these episodes, but in terms of pushing the story forward, I don't know. And so, we know because China announced it that she's not going to be in the full season. So I am curious where this is going, specifically with her storyline, because it's going to end before everyone else's, or she's just like, I don't know how they're going to do that.
Great question, because Lynn is like, have you, applied for college? So you thinking about your future? And she's like, nope, which is odd because she's leaving the show. So like, what is the plan? I will also say it feels like Gamby is the only one still like doing things to further their lives and story and world. And yet his story is so slow.
Yeah, and I also don't know if Gamby is about to go off the rails and, start working with his new girlfriend on some top secret projects that may hinder the Black Lightning family, the Pierce family. I don't know. Like, I still have a lot of question marks, but again, I'm still enjoying the episodes. I'm just curious to see where it's going. And so now I think too, something that I've been doing is, because this is the final season, I'm putting a lot of weight on it in my mind. And so I feel like if this were just a regular season, I probably wouldn't be so concerned with like, this sounds bad, but with every episode counting. But because this is the final season, I'm really like, and I am generally concerned with every episode counting. That's why I don't believe that any CW show should be more than 15 episodes. But I just am like, now I'm like, no, guys, seriously, what are we doing? Because we've seen 3.
I totally agree. And I wonder if we'll hit a point where they're like, oh no, now they have to count. But we'll see. Where would you rate this episode from Poop to Kittens?
Yeah, I mean, again, I can still give them these 2 episodes a kitten because I did actually still enjoy them. Like, I was like, oh, okay, I'm still entertained. I'm still intrigued. But I still literally have no clue, no idea, not even an inkling. Like, I can't predict anything because I genuinely don't know. Yeah. So that's kind of where I am. Like, I have no idea. What about you? On a scale of Poop to Kittens, where is it for you?
I'm giving it a spoon because both episodes I had to I started and I did not get interested until a certain point. And I feel like that's not great. Like I should be eager to find out what's happening this episode. And I wasn't. So it's not poop, it's not kitten, but it's a spoon.
So what are your predictions for next episode then? You know, what would make you more eager?
Movement. I think the story needs to move. I think the underground fight club was interesting with Lala and like Jefferson helping this guy out. And like, where is that going? Is that it? We're done with that story now. I think the villains need to put their plan in motion, and I think the heroes need to regroup and continue. And that's, I think, where we need to be. So my prediction is at some point in the next 2 to 3 episodes, the family is like, oh, why don't we work together?
Well, I mean, we can't be done, you know, with the man because also he and his family are still homeless. So it's like, first off, Jefferson, if nothing else, can we get them housing? Like,
he gave him his house. He gave his father's house. Yeah, no, he gave his father's house and he paid his rent.
Okay, his dad's house, his dad's old house. Because I was like, what? I was like,
yeah, no,
they did not move in. Yes, no, I do remember that.
I'm with you. I was like, why do you have a fully furnished house that no one lives in? His dad's
old house. Yeah. I do vaguely remember that now. Yeah. So yes, my bad. But yeah, I don't know where anything is going. So I have no predictions. So on to Batwoman. Let's talk Batwoman. Here is the quick cap for Fair Skin, Blue Eyes, the 4th episode. So as Batwoman attempts to fight the proliferation of snake bites, that new dangerous drug, through Gotham, a random encounter forces Ryan to revisit her painful past, and she determines to ensure others like her don't go unnoticed. And then for the 5th episode, Gore on Canvas, Batwoman is approached by Commander Kane and Agent Moore to boost an infamous work of art that reveals the way to Coriana and potentially Kate. Alice discovers that she may not remember everything about her time on this mysterious island of Coriana. So yeah, overall, I did enjoy these 2 episodes. So episode 4, I actually really liked the tie-in. So, I mean, that candy lady was super creepy, like exceptionally creepy, but I loved the tie-in for Ryan's childhood to, you know, present day and kind of seeing the candy lady's tactics change and kind of grow over the decades, and for the mystery to be so intertwined. So we get us getting to know a little bit more about Ryan's time, you know, in the in foster care, and then also managing this, and then her love of comics and superheroes and how all of that ties in. I absolutely loved. Speaking of housing, our girl now has an apartment and a roommate, and she now, you know, thankfully is housed. So I really love that, you know, she and Mary are going to be roommates now. So that was really dope. And then, you know, the 5th episode was pretty good. I actually enjoyed the 4th one, I think, more than the 5th. The 5th one is good, but we finally get, you know, the reveal of Ryan's ex-girlfriend. We finally understand why Ryan has so much trouble and why she has that long rap sheet, which it is again confirmed that she literally did none of those things. And it was this girlfriend who she should run from, but we see that they have reunited thus far. And I'm like, girl, Ange is girl. But you know how it is, because she and Ange grew up together, which we saw in episode 4 in the foster care system. And at some point they've developed an intimate relationship. And so, you know, Ange is basically Ryan's Achilles heel is what we're going to find out, because she makes bad decisions and is still dealing drugs, and Ryan is still hanging out with her. And I'm like, girl, last time, how did this end? It didn't well, so please don't do this. So yes, I still enjoyed this episode. Lots of mysteries though about this Evan character who just came up and now he's wearing a suit and he's trying to help Kane. And who are you?
Yeah, so okay, I totally agree with you. I love the Candy Lady. Like, what an interesting, first of all, a woman villain who's kidnapping children and then like trafficking them into a gang.
Wild.
Fascinating. I think that's such a clever, twist on this story that you hear of all the time. I really did enjoy that episode. I agree with you 100% about the intertwinedness of it all. I think that's fantastic. And I'm with you on the X. Like, I can't stand people making the same mistakes. But Evan, this character, first of all, is officially the first non-binary character being introduced. So that's fascinating and wonderful and welcome. But they seem to be a villain. I think they're a thief and a like super villain, or like a crappy villain, not super, but villain.
But I'm so confused because, and then I should know, I definitely appreciate that Ryan asked pronouns, and that Evan was like he or him or they, and so I was like, okay, I appreciate that, totally cool. You're right, don't know if this is a villain or a hero, not entirely sure, but based on the conversation with Mary, might be a thief, but based on the conversation with Mary, the only reason why Evan was there was to get the painting and save Kate. So I was trying to intercept the painting, obviously ran into Batwoman because that was clearly Ryan's mission, and got injured, but was doing it for the right reason. So I don't know. It's still not clear if Evan is a villain or a hero or what.
Let me ask this. They kept referring to this character by, was it Spider Wolf or Wolf Spider? Wolf Spider, I think. I was like, is this a thing we've heard of? Have we heard of this person before?
I don't remember the name. I do remember Mary mentioning a name. I don't remember what it was. That's why I'm like, but are they in the news? Like, I remember thinking to myself, I've never heard of Spider Wolf or whatever. I'm just going to go with Spider Wolf because here we are. But I remember thinking, I have never heard of Spider Wolf a day in my life. And then the fact that like Spider Wolf was just so easy with, having their identity be revealed, even though it was Mary, and obviously Evan and Mary have known each other for a while, but still, like, I just was like, I have so many questions. That's probably like where it fell flat for me, which is wild because they've been doing such a good job of like intertwining things well.
Yeah.
And right there, I was like, did I miss something?
It's up until that scene with Mary, I assumed that this was a one-off character and we wouldn't see them again. But when we saw them in the bed with Mary, I went, oh, this is a person that's coming back. I'm excited for this, which made me more interested. Let's talk about Sophia and all that stuff. I don't care. I think it's interesting that Alice and Ocean need to like have forgotten that they were lovers. I think that's so weird. And I'd like an explanation as to how that can be done to someone.
Asking for myself. No, I can never remember Ocean's name. And honestly, it's because that actor's so attractive. I just think that I forget about names whenever he comes on the screen because I'm always just looking like, that man's really attractive. And so maybe that's why I don't remember his name. Who knows? Also, I just feel like there's a lot of underlying family drama that matters in the long run. But right now in the short run, they're not giving it to me in a way that I care too much about. So I understand that we need this Kate, Alice, Sophia, Ocean dynamic because it's like the siblings against each other, but then apparently one sibling of each were together, and then maybe that's forbidden, and then Sophia's like, no, but then also Alice stole the flower, and so like maybe there are all these layers. But I don't know. It leads me to believe that we will see Kate at least one more time before this season is out, because there's so many things happening. And I just feel like, you know, obviously Ruby left the show, but things were so abrupt. And I remember reading that like her contract was so intricate. It did leave me to believe like, I'm not sure she can actually get out of this contract without doing like a little bit more of her obligations. Sure. That's what I was like thinking about when they announced it. So it does kind of make me feel like she may have one more episode to finally kind of, you know, finish that towards the end of this season and really like her kind of pass the baton to Ryan type deal. And then we can move forward fully with Ryan, and there's never like any of this lingering, well, we want Kate back, or we are thinking about Kate type deal. But the way they're setting it up, it makes me feel pretty sure like more and more that we're leading towards like at least seeing, you know, Kate one more time. But
yeah. Well, let's rate this episode, or these 2 episodes. Where do you stand from poop to kitten?
Yeah. So, you know, I adored that candy episode. So that's definitely a kitten. I feel like 5 was probably a spoon for me, just because it wasn't terrible. But I just wasn't as intrigued with the storyline as much as the one before. You know, I am curious to see where things go between Ryan and Ange, which we all know it's going to go down before it goes up. And by up, that means Ryan's going to break up with her again. So we know that that's going to happen. I have said that, you know, for me, I would love to see Ryan in a queer relationship with another Black woman. And there was a little hint, just a little hint. I saw it when, you know, Ryan was on the phone with Sophie, and was like, oh crap, you know, my ex is here. And she said he, and she was like she, and Sophie was like, oh, like, And I saw a little bit. I did see a little, and I was like, so I said, you know, I do want to see, you know, 2 Black women. I just don't want it to be them.
Yes.
Because we are starting to get into these conversations more and more with Sophie and Batwoman about Sophie being a crow and being Black and what that means. And we saw even in this episode. So, you know, I'm like, listen, even that conversation alone probably would take me up to a kitten, because it's true. How do you do this? But so, yes. So I am curious to see kind of where it's going thus far. But, you know, so far I'm actually really liking this season. This whole revamped is done well. This reboot has been top notch, y'all. What about you? How do you feel in terms of your ratings this week of Batwoman?
So I agree. The Candy Lady episode was 100% kitten. Just a really great episode. And then I love Undercover. I love like makeover montage. So I'm giving the second one a kitten as well. As much as I did not care about most of the Alice Ocean stuff until they like had that cool fight, and then we're like, we'll team up. Until that point, I was not into it, and then we got there and I was like, yes, I'm into this. So yeah, kittens all around. Any predictions?
Did we know that Ocean had the painting the whole time?
No, that was a reveal.
Okay, I didn't think so, because I was like, oh, he has this painting and he thinks that he can trust Alice, and Alice will firmly murder him for her sister. So I was thinking, well, I mean, surprise. Yeah. So no, my only prediction is Ryan's gonna break up with Ange again. That's also not gonna go well, because is Ange the same person that has been on the island? Remember, like Sophie was, you know, when they were on the island, Sophie was basically like indisposed with this woman, and I feel like she looks like Ange.
They're not the same. No, they're not the same girl. I had the same thought. They're not the same girl.
Okay. Because I was like, is this Ange? Like when I saw Ange, I thought, have we seen her before? And also it was funny because someone else on the show said that. And I was like, okay, I'm not the only one. So I think that they will break up. I also think that if Ange is not, you know, the woman that's on the island, to your point, Ange still has a bigger role because she clearly knows everyone. And I think that like this will truly put them at odds. whenever the, inevitable breakup happens, because it is definitely going to happen. Like, please, y'all, like, let's do it. What about you? What are your predictions?
I predict the season continues on this upward swing. It's doing pretty well, and I'm super into it. And I hope that they drop dead weight as they go. I hope they're like, well, this storyline is done. We're done. Let's
I mean, like, I don't expect to see Ocean for too much longer. You know what I mean? Like, I think that they will know when to wrap that up. I think he's important right now because he definitely has that painting. But so we need him until, Alice murders him.
I think we'll see Alice at least, toy with the idea of not murdering him because there was love. So, all right, let's talk about our woman performer of the week.
Yes.
You have quite a few.
I do. So Bitsy, Elizabeth, aka Bitsy, aka Lois Lane. I am gonna go with that performance. I think, Bitsy as Lois is just, she's doing a phenomenal job, particularly in the pilot. I love having her own agency. I love how headstrong she is. I also love how, she's not afraid to call Clark out on his crap, particularly when it comes to parenting. She really stands her ground with her father, with, she's going to toe to toe. She actually hasn't gone toe to toe with anyone but men. And I appreciate that. And I love seeing it. And so, they make her, the most vocal and brilliant person in the room thus far from the way that she is written. And so I love seeing strong female characters written in this way. So yes, absolutely. I'm also going to say from WandaVision, Catherine Hahn, finally. So, when we finally get that Agatha all along and kind of seeing who she truly is, that reveal, love. And I think, Catherine pulls it off seamlessly. Something that Catherine has the ability to do is have the range of being a comedic actress, of singing, of being a dramatic actress. I think she was really able to kind of like pull everything out in this, specifically when it gets to her being interrogated by those twins, and then the flip switching when she sees Wanda and Monica outside, and then the flip switching again when she gets Wanda alone in her house. I just think she did great. And then, of course, I would be remiss if I just did not put Kat Dennings, as Dr. Darcy. I think her being in a buddy comedy with Vision, 100% would watch, 30 out of 10 would watch that buddy comedy. So for you, who is your performer of the week?
I only picked one this week. I'm going to go with Catherine Hahn. I agree. The switching was incredible. And she has been underutilized the entire season, and it paid off. It was worth it. Let's move on to style icon of the week.
I see you have some sort of, I'm like, I don't remember this, so please.
Okay. This is the moment. Look, as much as I wanted to be like, oh, Kat's Dr. Darcy's outfit in the circus. No, it is when Ryan is having breakfast with her old new girlfriend, and she's wearing a panda robe. I was like, this is the icon of the week. I literally went on Amazon and looked for one for myself.
Did you find one?
I realized that I don't wear white, and so I found a cat hoodie instead that is much more me. But that was my icon of the week.
That took a turn. You said cat hoodie instead, and I was like, that was not what I was expecting you to say.
I mean, okay. But it's me.
Yes. No, it's very you, but I thought you got this panda robe, and I was like, that's the real story right there, is that you too can have your own panda robe. That's what I
found them, and they're very cute, but I'm never going to wear it.
Got it. Okay, for me, also in the same vein of Batwoman, Javicia, it is when Ryan is dressed up as an art dealer. Hello. Yes. Loved that dress. Absolutely loved it. It just was so cute. I would 100% wear that. I'm pretty sure I have a dress that potentially looks like that somewhere, which is probably why I chose it. So yes, absolutely. Love that art gallery dress. I died. It was fabulous. So on to the WTF or OMG moment of the week, because I kind of feel like there weren't a ton of like WTF, but there were things that I was like, wait, what? So you go ahead. What's your pick for the week?
The Agatha song. It was just so good. I saw on TikTok somebody took the scene where the like Modern Family scene where Wanda's talking and then the producer asks a question, they like adjusted the audio to show that it was Catherine Hahn's voice actually. The Agatha song was so good. All those twists and reveals were amazing.
Yeah, that song is a little banger for sure, for sure. I'm gonna go with the end of Batwoman because, child, what? Ryan Scar's like radioactive. It's like lime green and glowing, and I am not entirely sure what is happening to her. But I am curious to see where this goes because clearly she had Mary look at it. Mary is a doctor, and Mary was just like, okay, girl, we'll take this, for the infection. And I'm looking at this like, yeah, this is much more than an infection.
I agree with you. When she finally showed it to Mary, I was like, I'm sorry, you're just going to give her like antibiotics? I've seen it every week. We've seen that it's green. What's happening?
But now it was like when she just peeled it back at the end of the episode, it's like so much worse that I was like, okay, girl, I'm confused about why Mary just let you skip on out of here because this, I just don't know. Like, and I'm also confused about why Ange was like, oh my God, you need to get that checked out. And I was like, well, girl, didn't you just say y'all reconnected last night? Did you not see this giant green, monstrosity happening? Okay, but here we are.
Yeah, we have people in the chat agreeing. Thanks for being here. Absolutely. Yeah, those are our moments for this week. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us live in the chat. Thank you to everyone who's been watching our show all season. We have more to add next week with The Flash. But until then, where can everyone keep up with you, Kay-B?
So, I'm everywhere at the Lady Kay-B, TheLadyKayAYB on Twitter and Instagram only. Definitely check us out on Tuesday. This Tuesday, March 2nd, we are doing a bi-coastal East Coast and West live tweet of the season 7 Flash premiere. So that is where you can find us on Tuesday, right before you come back here on Wednesday to get a full recap of all of the shows of your dreams. All of the superhero shows of your dreams, rather. And look forward to new episodes of the Color Grade podcast. Another one will be dropping this Friday. And I am not going to spoil what that conversation is about, but it is a film review. And I have some really dope picks. And maybe I will spill one of those because it came out today. My pick, I will say watch Ginny and Georgia. I loved it. I adored it. It's on Netflix. It came out today. It's wild and definitely not what I was expecting. Check that out. So I'll have some more thoughts on that on the Color Grade podcast when the episode drops on Friday. And, got some Coming to America stuff dropping this week. Cast interviews. So what about you, Yael? Where can everyone find you this week? I saw that you were doing a little live on Twitch earlier.
Yeah, I'm everywhere at Yael Teagle. That's YAELTYGIEL. I was on twitch.tv/Yael Teagle playing Zelda on a classic Super Nintendo. Today's stream was a little short because I got very frustrated and did not make any progress, and I gave up within an hour. But I will be back on Monday for more. And you can find me also talking about Law and Order SVU right here on Fanversation every Sunday. And then we'll be back next week on Wednesday. So thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time. And don't miss the Flash premiere.